Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. First, we need to remember the Buddha words to practice Vipassana meditation. Sato bhikkhve bhikkhu sambajano vihariya ayanko amaka anusasani. That means yogi should dwell mindfully and fully comprehending. This is the repeated instruction of the Lord Buddha for the yogis. Today we have to listen the benefits of meditation, and when we practice Vipassana meditation, what objects we have to take. There are 7 benefits of meditation. Number 1, Sattana Visuddhiya. That means for the purifications of minds of all beings, our minds are tainted with different defilements, or the minds of all beings are contaminated by different defilements. Most of the time, our minds are not pure. They are lobha, dosa, moha, mana, esa, machiriya, attachment or craving, greed, hatred, ignorance, pride, envy, jealousy, and so forth. Attachments define our minds. The Satipatthana method helps to purify our minds. This is the only way for the purifications of our minds. When we practice Vipassana meditation, we do not have greed or hatred or delusion or pride or other mental defilements. All these things are absent from our mind during the practice of meditation. When we reach the destination, then our mind will be totally free from mental defilements. So we need to keep going this path. By going along this path, we will reach the highest stage of attainment, and our mind will be totally pure. And another benefit is Soka Paridevana Samatikamaya. By this meditation, we can overcome sorrow and lamentation. When we practice Vipassana meditation, we need to be aware of everything that is happening to us, to notice everything that comes to us at the present moment. When we are aware of everything, when we observe everything during meditation correctly, the mental defilements will disappear. When we reach the final stage of adulthood, we will have overcome sorrow and lamentation altogether, Soka and Brideva. After we have reached such a stage, sorrow and lamentation will never come to us again. There are many yogis whose sorrow and lamentation have been overcome by the practice of Vipassana meditation. Another benefit is dukkha domanasana attingamaya. That means by practicing Vipassana meditation, there will come disappearance of pain and grief. Pain means physical pain. Grief means mental pain. Physical pain and mental pain can be overcome by practicing Vipassana meditation. When we have sat for some time, we feel pain in the body. We need to patiently note to get concentration. And when we persevere in watching the pain, or when we take note of pain continuously, then our concentration becomes powerful. And then the pain will go away and we will have overcome pain. And also we can overcome grief through the practice of Vipassana meditation. When we have reached the higher stage, we will have overcome pain and grief once and for all. Another benefit is Nyayasa Adigamaya. That means we can reach the noble path. The noble path here means a type of consciousness that appears at the moment of realization. When meditators realize the truth, realize Nibbana, there arises in them a type of consciousness that is called Megajeta, path consciousness. It is called path consciousness because when we have reached the stage of consciousness we can be certain to reach nirvana on this path. It surely will lead there. And how many stages of realization? There are 4 stages of realization. And so there are 4 types of megacita, path consciousness. Each path consciousness eradicates some mental defilements completely, so that after reaching the 4th path consciousness, all of them are altogether eradicated. The mental defilements eradicated by megacita, path consciousness, we not return to yogis. For reaching the noble path, for attaining this type of consciousness that can eradicate the mental defilements altogether, Satipatthana Vipassana meditation is the only way, ekayana. The last one is Nibbanasa Sachi Kiriyaya. To realize Nibbana. We can say that reaching the noble path means reaching the state of megacita, path consciousness, and realizing Nibbana means reaching the palacita, state of fruition consciousness. Immediately after the megacita, path consciousness, comes the Phalacita, fruition consciousness. Some knowledge of the Abhidhamma will help yogi to understand this more clearly. It is sufficient to say that both the path consciousness and fruition consciousness take Nibbana as their object. They both perceive Nibbana directly. Either of these 2 moments can be called moments of realizing Nibbana. So to gain these benefits, we all practice Vipassana meditation. When we practice Vipassana meditation, what objects we have to take? Normally, we say in Vipassana meditation, everything becomes the object. Everything that is prominent, everything that is evident at the present moment is the objects of Vipassana meditation. But that needs some qualification, that everything must be something that belongs to the ultimate reality, Paramattha Dhamma. There are 2 kinds of reality mentioned in Buddhism: the apparent reality and the ultimate reality. The apparent reality is called concept, piñati in Pali. When we say it is a man, it is a woman, that truth is just according to the convention, but in the ultimate analysis, there is no such thing as man, there is no such thing as a woman, there is no such thing as a living beings, but just the combination of the five aggregates, five khandhas. Just say Nama and Rupa, mind and matter. So mind and matter or five aggregates are the ultimate reality. But when mind and matter are combined as a being, then we call it a being or a man or a woman. A man or woman or a being is a name we give to these combinations of mind and matter. So a man or a woman or a being actually exists only in the imaginations of people. They have no individual essence, they have no existence of their own. The names we give to people or the names we give things and also people or things that are represented by these names are called apparent reality or concept. From this apparent reality, we take out ultimate reality. So from the man or from the woman, we get mind and matter. Mind and matter are the ultimate realities because they really exist and they can be experienced and they can be seen by oneself through practice of meditation. So concepts are those that have no real existence of their own, but they exist in people's minds and we use a lot of concept in our daily lives. But when we practice Vipassana meditation, we do not take concepts as objects because the purpose of Vipassana meditation or the functions of Vipassana meditation is to see that things are impermanent, things are suffering, and things are not so. Concept says no such things as impermanence, suffering, and no so. Because we do not know when concepts comes into being and when they disappear, they do not have these three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, impermanence, suffering, and no soul. And these three characteristics are important to see because only when we see these three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, and anatta, we want to get away from suffering. So these three characteristics, impermanence, suffering, and no soul, are found only in the ultimate reality and not in concepts. How many ultimate realities are there? There are four ultimate reality, Paramatta Dhamma, mentioned in Buddhism: Citta, consciousness; Caitasika, mental factors; Rupa, Metta, and Nibbana. Among these four, a great part of consciousness and a great part of mental factors and mental factors and material properties are the objects of Vipassana meditation. Also, Vipassana meditation takes only what belongs to mundane sphere and not those that belongs to supramundane sphere. There are types of consciousness that are called supramundane that arise at the moment of enlightenment, and also the mental factors accompanying them. These are not taken as objects simply because they are not yet attained by those who practice Vipassana meditation. When yogi practice Vipassana meditation, you watch your mind, you watch your emotion, you watch your consciousness, and you watch mental states and so on. Only that you experience, only those that arise in your mind, yogi can take as object. So the objects of Vipassana meditation is first, the ultimate reality. Among the ultimate reality, those that belong to mundane sphere, not supramundane sphere. A yogi who has gained lower stages of enlightenment may practice Vipassana meditation, and he could take the supramundane consciousness, his supramundane consciousness as objects of Vipassana meditation. But although he may dwell on the supramundane consciousness, he has no benefits of getting rid of mental defilements regarding that consciousness. Because the supramundane consciousness is not the objects of mental defilement. A yogi takes what belongs to the mundane sphere. In the mundane sphere, they are like jhana consciousness and non-jhana consciousness. Jhana consciousness is that which arises in a yogi who practice a samatha or calm meditation, who takes mostly a concept as objects of meditation, who develops concentration on it and reaches the stage of jhana. At that moment, a consciousness arises in him. That consciousness is called jhana consciousness. Jhana consciousness can be taken as objects for Vipassana meditation. But only those yogis who have attained jhana can take jhana as objects of meditation. If you have not attained jhana, you cannot take jhana as objects of vipassana meditation simply because you have not attained jhana. That is for direct vipassana. There are two kinds of vipassana, Pichaka and Anumana. Pichaka, direct vipassana, and Anumana, inferential vipassana. First, you get the direct vipassana. That means you put your mind on the objects and you come to see these objects as impermanent, suffering, and no soul. After you have seen the real objects, you have observed as impermanence and so on, you can make an inference that just as these objects I am observing is impermanent, suffering, and no soul, so we other objects be impermanent, suffering, and no soul. In that way, you practice inferential vipassana on the other phenomena which you do not actually experience. But inferential vipassana must come only after direct vipassana. First, you have to see that a certain object is impermanent. Only after that, you can infer that just as this is impermanent, so other objects are impermanent. In direct vipassana, you take the objects, what you can experience or what you have experienced. If you have not experienced jhana, then you cannot take jhana as objects of vipassana. So you can take non-jhana consciousness and mental factors along with these types of consciousness as the objects of meditation. Among the non-jhana consciousness, those that arise only in the minds of arahants cannot be taken as objects. Because those who are not arahants cannot have experienced those types of consciousness, so these types of consciousness cannot be taken as objects. Actually, there are just a few types of consciousness and mental factors, and all material properties that can be the objects of vipassana meditation. Among those that are non-jhana consciousness or among those that are material properties, only those objects that are evident to the yogis are to be taken as object. So Vipassana begins with what is evident to the yogi, what he can observe easily. At the beginning of Vipassana, you don't try to understand or you don't try to see things that are subtle, that cannot be easily seen. So you begin with what is evident to you, what is easy to comprehend. That is one important thing. Because if you try to see those, they are not evident. Because they are not evident, you don't see them clearly. And if you don't see them clearly, you don't see their characteristics, you don't see them as impermanent, suffering, and no soul. So Vipassana begins with what is evident, what is prominent, what is easy to see. Mostly when we practice Vipassana meditation, we have to observe the evident objects, Vayodhatu, air elements, it is very recommended. Patavi Dhatu, earth element, Tejo Dhatu, heat element, etc. And also there are two kinds of objects, internal objects and external objects. Internal means that arise in our minds and in our body that we really experience. External means those that arise in other people and also those that are in outside things like trees, mountains, and so on. Although both internal and external objects are the objects of Vipassana meditation, a yogi must concentrate on the internal objects because only the internal objects are evident to him. For example, the mind of another person, you don't know the mind of another person, you don't see the minds of another person, but you may infer that person is angry or that person is happy, you may infer. So you don't really see for yourself his state of mind, but what is happening in you and your mind, you really know whether you are really angry or you are really happy or any other. So objects of Vipassana meditation, we will continue next time. Now we have to stop our discourse for today. By practicing Vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses, by noting prominent objects, by noting rising, falling, sitting, touching, walking, seeing, hearing, smelling continuously and meticulously. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future. So